An ancient Chinese proverb states that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The story of the Sperber and Aragon family is one of many steps, some large, some small, but one is struck by the determination of each generation to take the next step, to forge on and continue down an often uncertain road through the twists and turns of terror, tragedy, and ultimately triumph. Henry Sperber was born to a Jewish family in Aragon, Poland, in the early 1930s. When World War II broke out, Henry's father, Philip, decided that the family would pose as Gentiles to prevent their being sent away. This decision became Henry's reality until 1943, when the Nazis, likely tipped off by a starving Pole eager for a reward, discovered their true identity. Nazi officers came to arrest Philip, and when he resisted, they beat him unconscious and dragged him away as his wife and children watched helplessly. Several days later, they came for Henry's mother, Helena, and sent her to Auschwitz. Soon after, his siblings Nathan and Erka were captured, but Henry managed to flee. On the advice of a peddler who noticed him eating leftover scraps of food, Henry made his way to a farm, where he spent the remainder of the war caring for some cows and a horse. The war ended, but the nightmare didn't. Now, roving gangs in Poland spent time looking for Jews to kill, and they soon grew suspicious of Henry. Penniless and without papers, fearing for his life, he hitched a ride on the axles of a train and arrived back in his hometown. There, he discovered that his mother had survived and was in the Stuttgart displaced persons camp in Germany. Henry, after a number of challenges, including crossing the border into Germany, arrived at Stuttgart, finally reuniting with his mother, Helena. Sometime later, Helena remarried without consulting with Henry, a shock that Henry, still grieving for his murdered father, had a hard time accepting. The family decided to emigrate to the United States in 1949, settling in Detroit. They knew little English and had little money, so Henry dropped out of school to help support the family. In 1953, he enlisted in the U.S. Army. Because he spoke fluent German, he was assigned to Bamberg, Germany, and it was there he met the woman who would eventually become his wife. Hannah Meyer was born in 1936 to a German family, and during Allied bombings, she and her family survived the war. Hannah's parents did not treat her well, so she escaped into a world of books and often prayed to God to help her escape her difficult situation. Hannah attended high school, where she excelled in foreign languages, learning English and French. After graduating, she continued with English classes at night while attending business school in Nuremberg. One day, in 1954, Hannah met a charming young man named Henry. He was stationed in Bamberg, a 2-hour train ride from Nuremberg. Yet, despite the distance, Henry courted Hannah. 6 months later, Henry revealed he was Jewish. Hannah knew nothing about Jews beyond they were the people in the Bible. Henry talked about his terrible experiences during the Holocaust. It was then that Hannah recalled seeing slow-moving trains during the war packed with people. She had been told they were prisoners and never realized till that moment who they really were. Discovering what happened to Henry left a deep wound on Hannah's heart. Henry returned to Detroit, but was unable to secure Hannah's immigration. During that time, Hannah explored Judaism, wearing a mezuzah necklace Henry had given her. A Jewish man at her place of work in the commissary of the American Armed Forces, seeing the mezuzah, advised her to attend synagogue, which she began doing on Friday nights. These prayer services sparked something in her soul that would guide her along her journey in the years and decades to come. Henry was finally able to bring Hannah to the United States when a Polish quadriplegic, seeing Henry's desperation, told him, "If you think she's special, I will sponsor her." Hannah arrived in Detroit in 1956. When Henry's mother discovered her son wished to marry a German, she was horrified. But Henry was resolute, and soon his mother relented, even hosting the wedding in her own home. While her mother-in-law's opposition was a bitter pill to swallow, Hannah, now aware of the events of the Holocaust, understood her strong feelings. Now together, Henry and Hannah settled in Detroit and soon were blessed with the arrival of 3 children, Penny, Nancy, and Devora. Henry eventually opened an insulation company, Blowright. The business had very little money, and Henry ran it out of an old, beat-up, rusted-out truck he repaired with Hannah's help. Despite the challenges, they persisted, one step at a time. They exhibited at county fairs and the Michigan State Fair, leaving their young children at home with a babysitter while they manned their booths. Henry was creative and innovative in many ways. Too small to get a contract with Owens Corning for fiberglass, he made a deal with the Ford Motor Company to pick up their scrap fiberglass leftovers, which he recycled into usable material. Henry also began insulating sidewalls, something others were not doing at the time. He modified the insulating machines and was soon so successful, other insulation companies wanted Henry's machines. So he began to manufacture those. Slowly but surely, the business grew. And grew. And grew. Over the years, Henry was granted more than 50 patents for his inventions. Clients came from across the world. Places like Canada, Mexico, Turkey, Denmark, Israel, Korea, Japan, and yes, Poland. The small company in a battered truck had grown into a large, successful enterprise. Innovation also came in the world of civil rights, as he was the first insulator to hire African Americans. Hannah was also quite interested in Judaism and wanted to raise her children in a Jewish home. She taught herself to keep kosher and sent her girls to Hebrew school. Along their journey, Hannah and her daughters would undergo a long-sought Jewish conversion. The Sperbers moved to Denver in 1971, where they became members at BMH. The city was more suitable for the manufacture and shipment of the company's machines, and Henry had fallen in love with the Rocky Mountains on first sight. For college, Penny attended the University of Denver. In her very first class there, she met a young man named Jesse Aragon. The two became friends, moving in the same social circles, and over the years, they became close, culminating in their marriage on October 28, 1979. Not long after, Henry convinced Jesse and Penny that it was better to work for oneself than for others, and connected them with his business, which had by now been renamed ABIF. Working together, they saw great success. By 1991, life was looking pretty good for the Aragons. They were financially successful, and they had 2 adorable children, Ashley 4 and Ari 2. Their idyllic life was shaken up, though, when Jesse suffered an aneurysm, nearly costing him his life. After his brush with death, Jesse and Penny reflected on their life. Penny had inherited her mother's passion for Judaism and wanted her children to share that same love. Jesse had always had a relationship with God. However, achieving material success and the American dream was a major focus of life. Now, Penny and Jesse became determined to live a more meaningful, spiritual life. This meant making a real adjustment, shifting to allow their Judaism to play a central role in their lives. They were undeterred, and their personal journey began. Their search led them to Ahavas Yisrael Eish HaTorah of Denver. Jesse, Penny, and their children, along with Hannah and Henry, built relationships with the rabbis and rebbitzins at Eish. People like Rabbi Yaakov Meyer, Rabbi Nachum Wasaski, and Lori Polotnik. Later, with the arrival of the Kollel in 1998, the Aragons became close with Rabbi Yechiel and Esti Erlanger and their family. These devoted individuals encouraged the Aragons along their journey as they made steps of growth and connection to Torah. The Aragons appreciated that living a Torah-centric life was not simply about do this and don't do that, but about understanding what the Torah says for living one's life and using the Torah as a guide for life's journey. The Aragons encouraged their children to develop their Judaism, and to that end, they sent Ashley and Ari to Ramah. Jesse's dedication to his children's growth led him to hire Rabbi Erlanger to study Torah with Ari outside of school hours. Ashley took a great interest in Judaism from an early age, going by her Hebrew name Chaya Sarah. And as she completed middle school, her parents, recognizing the need, hired Norm Fisher, Judaic Studies Director at Ramah, to develop a high-level Jewish curriculum at Ramah, which he did with top-notch teachers from Hillel Academy, Beth Jacob High School, and the Kollel. Today, Chaya Sarah is married to Jeff Singer, and they're raising their 3 children in the Jewish community of Houston, Texas. Chaya Sarah's growth paved the way for continued growth by her parents, as well as her brother Ari, who attended yeshiva in Israel and America. Ari remained engaged in full-time Torah study following his marriage to Yehuda Shifra, and several years after their marriage, they joined the Denver Community Kollel. Ari and Yehuda Shifra Aragon currently live in Denver with their 3 children, an integral part of the Kollel and the Denver Jewish community. Henry Sperber passed away in 2003, but his wife Hannah is enjoying the nachas that her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren give her on a daily basis. Each step that she and Henry took laid the foundation for their children and grandchildren to follow. Jesse and Penny made their own courageous decisions as they navigated the twists and turns of their journey, which, in turn, set the stage for their children, Chaya Sarah and Ari, to set out on their own journeys of growth. The passion for Judaism, the commitment to choose right over wrong, the determination to put one foot in front of the other has enabled 4 generations of the Sperber Aragon family to create a beautiful family of committed Jews that continues, one day at a time, one step at a time, along their collective journey.